Aloha and welcome to Knitted Paradise, where the needles are clicking and the yarn is squishy. My name is Lucia. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Pearl of the Pacific. Today is October 12th, and this is episode 44. I don't know what I'm going to title it yet. I never really do. Sometimes I do if I'm talking about a specific subject, but often I don't. Actually, you know what? Today I'm going to talk about the kindness of knitters. That's what I'm going to talk about. I just decided that on a whim. I kind of been thinking about it today. I'm recording on a Sunday evening, which is a little different. I decided to sleep in this morning rather than record before choir. The cat actually woke me up by pawing me in the face this morning. Luckily, he has no claws in the front, so it didn't hurt, but I was like, Mommy, it's time to get up now. And I really didn't sleep in that much. I really can't. I'm a morning person, and so sleeping until 8 is pretty exciting for me. I think today I might have just laid in bed until 9, which is really late for me, but it's okay. I needed it. I've been really tired this week, so I felt like I needed that. So my husband is allowing me to record now. And because usually he's asleep in the mornings when I record. But let's get started. It is October. We have our swap going on, and I did find a partner. So thank you to my partner. I didn't ask her if I could talk about her on the podcast, but if you're in the threads, you might know who she is. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm working on putting together her package. I have a lot of ideas, and now I need to see if they're going to happen. We'll see. And so that's pretty exciting. And I've been really enjoying reading the stories and the comments that you guys have posted. So please go post things in the Ravelry board. There's a chatter group for the swap. And later on in the month, I will post like a, show your stuff thread. But, go share. One person said that she discovered a yarn dyer down the street from her who's also a knitter. Usually people who dye yarn are knitters as well. So that was really exciting. She had no idea. So I hope you're all connecting with some local dyers and, making new friends. That's kind of the point of this. I mean, it's one of the reasons I started the podcast was, to get to know some of the people in the knitting community. So have fun. Enjoy yourselves. Right, enough about that. You all want to see some knitting, don't you? And there has been some knitting this week. A lot of knitting. More than I thought I was going to get done. So, yay for that. We'll start with, let's see, we'll start here. Because that's what's closest, I guess. This is in my Silver Shed USA bag. It's got music notes on it. And I took it to choir today, which was fun. It's got green polka dots on the inside. And these are some socks for my husband, and they are out of No Makers, Sporty Gnome, in little plastic bricks, which is a Lego reference. And the heels and toes are out of something that I acquired this week, which I'll talk about later. Because it was a sport weight, and they're man socks, I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough. So I got some black for the heels and toes. And it's coming along, they're coming along nicely. I kind of made up the pattern. I'm not really following a pattern. It's kind of my standard toe-up pattern. I do the Turkish cast on. And the first 2 rounds, I increase both rounds, and then I increase every other row. And then say I'm going for 32 stitches, at 30 stitches, instead of doing a knit row increase, I'll do knit knit increase. And it just kind of eases that change there. So it's not as drastic. Really hard to see the black, but you can kind of see them. So they're kind of striping, which is fun. I'm sorry, the colors on this camera are completely terrible. I can't get my webcam is not cooperating. My operating system updated something about raw camera footage, and I think that's messing with my camera, so I have to really look into that this week. So for another week, you'll just have to put up with the built-in. But those are coming along. And I did, before I think I showed you, I had knit the toe out of the little plastic bricks. And they kind of been on hold because I was looking for something for the heels and toes. And I found something, which I'll talk about from the mainland section. So those were worked on today. That was my today knitting. Next, I have the summer fling bag by Espace or Espace Tricot or Tricot. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that at all. And you may recognize this yarn. It's a lot bigger than it looks because it's on these tiny little needles. But it's going to be a nice bag. This is the bag I was knitting Trillion out of. I mean, this is the yarn I was knitting Trillion out of. And I was knitting along on it at work. And I thought, you know, let me put this next to my skin. Because I had a fair amount of it. So I put it around my neck, kind of just with the needles, and continued working. And it's kind of a little scratchy, not gonna lie. It would have been okay, but it's not something I would have wanted to wear next to the skin all day. It's out of my mystery yarn, which I think is a BFL. It's absolutely gorgeous. The colors are actually fairly accurate with this camera. I'm surprised. Maybe not that bright, but it's absolutely beautiful yarn, and it's pooling amazingly. I mean, not pooling, but you know what I mean. It's knitting up quite beautifully. The colors are better if I hold it back here. But I decided that I was going to rip it out. And I thought, you know, oh, I'll make a hat. And I thought, well, that's still next to your skin, silly. Then your forehead's going to get itchy, your ears are going to get itchy, or whatever's going to get itchy. So I thought, you know what, I'll make a bag out of it, because then I can use it, and everyone can enjoy the prettiness of it, because it's absolutely beautiful. And it doesn't have to be next to my skin. Ta-da! Problem solved. So I've been knitting on this bag. It's just kind of mindless stockinette for a while, and then there's a row of decreases at some point, and then some, whatchamacallit. And I know you're probably thinking, Lucia, don't you have another bag on the needles that you haven't finished? Well, yes, I do. It hasn't gotten any attention. I think I just need to rip it back a few repeats and then do the decreases and then do the straps, because as you remember, I didn't have a whole lot left for the straps. But it was a beach bag, and now the weather's cold, so I'm not really going to the beach a whole lot. So, yeah, it'll get done eventually, because I want it for next year, right? I can just use it as a bag also. It doesn't have to be a beach bag. But this one's going to be a little smaller. I'm doing it on, I think they're 2.5mm needles. I think the pattern called for 3, but 2.5 is what I was knitting Trillion out of, and so that's what I had in the bag. But it's a short cable. I think it's a 16-inch cable, so the bag looks a lot smaller than it is. But that's coming along. Oh, that's something else. Okay. I've got a whole bunch of stuff in this bag. I may or may not have used it as a purse for various things. Often my knitting bags become a purse at some point throughout the week, because I don't feel like taking my whole bag. Because I have a laptop for work that I bring home every day, so I've been using my laptop messenger bag rather than a purse. So sometimes I don't want to take the whole laptop bag, and I don't feel like transferring everything into my purse that I need, so I just take out, you know, like chapstick and wallet or whatever and shove it in my knitting bag and take it. So this is my fat squirrel bag. The little birdies on it. Birdies and flowers. So that's that. What else got attention? Oh, my sweater. Sweater. Hold on, it's under a couple things. So I've been working on the Tea Leaves cardigan by Melissa LaBarre out of Sun Valley Fibers, MCN, worsted in Smoke Signals. And ta-da! I have 2 sleeves. Ta-da! So it's almost done. I just have a button band to do. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll notice that I posted. It's kind of funny with all these things. But this is where I marked my decreases. Ding, 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 ding. So I got a rainbow of stitch markers. I can probably take them out now because I've done both sleeves. I posted on Instagram last night that, oh, here, I'll show you my shirt. Keep calm and carry yarn if you're wondering what that bottom thing says down there. You're probably wondering, what does it say down at the bottom? And I'll talk about that in a minute. But I posted on Instagram that I finished the second sleeve. I like them very long, so as you notice, they're long because I'm constantly pulling my sleeves down. So this is how long I like them. Just how I am. And I realized as I'm knitting the second sleeve that I thought I had another skein of yarn and I'm worried about running out. And as I'm knitting this second sleeve, I'm thinking, I swear I have a 5th skein somewhere. I'm only on skein number 4, right? I was wrong. I have used all 5 skeins, and this is what is left for 2 button bands. So I posted on Instagram saying, well, I finished the second sleeve, and I don't have enough for the button bands. I could maybe eke 1 out of this, but definitely not 2. Because they're garter stitch button bands, so they suck up a fair amount of yarn. So I posted on Instagram asking people what they thought I should do, because I came up with 3 basic options. I can find another neutral, either in my stash or at a local yarn store, like darker gray or, tan or off-white or cream or something, and knit the button bands in that, and maybe, change them out later when, if I order another skein of this. Or I could just order another skein and wait for it to come and just accept. I really wanted to finish this by Vogue Knitting in Chicago in a couple weeks. And I was just like, oh, I'll just accept, I'm not going to get it done. It'll be okay. I have 2 other hand knit sweaters, that I can wear, or wear something completely different, Or my third option was pick a contrasting color and do the button bands and then maybe add a stripe along the top and then rip these out and do a stripe here and then maybe rip that out or here you can kind of see the bottom has some garter on it. Rip that out and do, some stripes in there. And I have 2 weeks, so I had some time. And so I posted on Instagram. A lot of people were saying doing the contrasting stripes, which I think would be really cool, except that I really wanted a plain gray sweater. I have a really, really dark gray, which is practically black sweater that I've knit, and then I have an off-white sweater that I knit. And I really wanted a gray one, just as neutrals. And then I have plans for crazy colors, but I really wanted some neutral hand knit sweaters. Okay, this is really warm. I'm going to take it off. It's got cashmere in it, so it's pretty warm and really squishy. I love this yarn. I will definitely be knitting other sweaters out of this yarn. Anyway, the vote was for a contrasting color, and so I thought about it, and then I ended up asking the dyer, Sun Valley Fibers, Jeanette. If you hadn't checked her out, you totally should. And I asked her, what do you think? And she said, I'll just dye you up another skein and send it to you in like a couple days. Thanks. That's amazing. I was so excited. I was at choir and I read that on Instagram and I was like, look guys, and they're looking at me like, you're crazy, Lucia. And I'm like, you have no idea. I'm so excited about the kindness of knitters that she's gonna dye me up another skein and send it to me. She's like, oh, it'll be in a few days. It may not match exactly. It's okay, it's the button bands. I don't think if it matches perfectly, no one's gonna know. So that happened today, which was really exciting. So that's part of my kindness of knitters. You know, I just asked her, I'm like, well, you know, what's your opinion? And she's like, oh, you need that sweater for Vogue. You will have your Vogue sweater. It kind of feels like a Rhinebeck sweater. I know Rhinebeck's coming up next weekend, and a lot of people are frantically trying to finish sweaters for that. So this was kind of my Rhinebeck sweater, but I'm not going Rhinebeck. I'm going to Vogue Knitting Live, so I really wanted my sweater. So I'm really excited about this sweater. So yeah, that'll get some love in a bit. But it's coming along. I finished the sleeves. I'm really happy with the way it's fitting. I'm happy with the sleeves. And yeah, I can't wait for it to be done. And I have that much left. I swear I took my whole thing of yarn and works in progress apart trying to find this extra skein. And I found my swatch, which I had done a while back. And I thought, oh, I'd put the extra skein with the swatch. Well, there was no other skein with the swatch. So, yeah. I had delusional thoughts that I had an extra skein. Oh well, problem solved. Yay, knitters. So, that will hopefully get done in the next couple weeks. It will get done in the next couple weeks. Not hopefully, it will get done. That is living in my Amy's treehouse from Little Skein. I think it's Annie's treehouse. Sorry. But it's the treehouse bag from Little Skein. And it's perfect. It's the perfect size for my sweaters. So, yay for that. And it's a worsted sweater, so it's a good size bag. What else? Oh, Chloe. I'm looking at my list over here. I have Chloe. Chloe has not gotten any love this week. Poor Chloe. She still looks like this. I do have her legs. They're just not on her. I did finish her underwears, her underoos, but they don't fit over her large bottom, so I need to reknit them so that they fit over her bottom. Ooh, there she goes. So I did make some modifications. I did flare out the dress a little bit. You can see I did do some increases there. So I cast on a few more than it calls for, and I did some seed stitch at the bottom. And then just did some decreases to what it calls for, and then did the straps as called for, pretty much. And I kind of sewed them in. I didn't do them straight back. I did them kind of toward the middle, just so that they would stay on a little better. So that's Chloe's dress, and yeah, here's her little legs. And I did do her shoes. So that will get done hopefully this week. And I need to get some stuff to do her eyes. Embroidery thread, that's the words. Embroidery thread to do her eyes and mouth and eyebrows and face, basically, other than her nose. And I have some black, but that's not really going to work. So maybe she'll get some hair soon. My goal really this week was to finish that second sleeve, which is now done. So I think she's next to finish. And, sorry, the screensaver went on. All right, set sail. I finished 2 things this week. Yeah. As I knock everything over. I finished my homework for Vogue Knitting Live. I still need to block it, so it's really curly. But that's it. It's Cascade 220 in maroon and goldenrod, the same colors I'm knitting my Harry Potter scarf out of, or rather my husband's Harry Potter scarf. My Ginny Weasley scarf is done. And So yeah, it's pretty simple. It went fairly quickly, and that's what it is. It's a steeking class. I know I've mentioned that before. So I'm gonna learn how to steek. So this is the knitting part of the homework. Then there's some supplies that I have to bring. So I'm gonna block this tonight so that it's not all curly, because that's not gonna help me. And then, you know, I mean, I've got a couple weeks to get all my stuff together to make sure I have everything for my class. So that's really exciting. I'm feeling a lot better now that the knitting of this is done. I kept putting it off and putting it off. I'm like, no, Lucia, just do it. And you'll feel a lot better when it's done, knowing that it's done. Not having that looming over your head. So that's really exciting. The other thing I finished was my hot pants socks. And they're all wrapped up and ready to be gifted. This is how I wrap my socks. I do sell hand knit socks, as I've mentioned before, and other hand knit items. And so I wrap them up. I have a little card that I put in with like care instructions and things like that. And so there's my little logo on the sticker. But I wrapped it in hot pink paper because they are hot pink socks. So I'd show them to you, but I wrapped them up yesterday thinking I was going to deliver them yesterday, and then I didn't get a chance to connect with that person, so they'll be delivered this week. They're only a week overdue. Her birthday was last week. She didn't know they were coming, so it's okay. So those are done. I did take pictures before I wrapped them up, so if you really want to know what they look like, they're absolutely beautiful. I love this pattern. These are the Salis socks by Julia Reed, and I did them out of dragonfly fibers. Ginny sock, I have no idea how to pronounce that. If someone wants to tell me how to pronounce that, that'd be really helpful. In hot pants was the colorway, and they're bright pink. And the yarn was amazing. I love this yarn. It's an MCN sock weight yarn, and absolutely beautiful. Very squishy. Going to be very nice socks. So those are the two things I finished. And I picked up some stuff. As I talked about with, I went to, with my husband's socks. Sorry, I tend to interrupt myself, I've realized. I went to a local yarn store yesterday. We had to run some errands, and we were running by a local yarn store that I knew had some yarn that I needed for a pair of socks that someone ordered. And while we were there, as I look around, of course, as I do, I thought, oh, I need some yarn for the heels and toes of my husband's socks because they've been on hold till I got some. So I said, I need some sport weight yarn for some heels and toes. And the guy there suggested this, which is Melamia, Sweden. It's naturally soft merino. It's 100% virgin wool. I've never used this yarn, but it comes, I hound wound this ball this morning in choir because I realized that I needed some way to knit from both ends, and I couldn't find the inner end, so I had to start winding. Anyway, it is 50 grams, 136 yards, and it comes in one of those kind of like Knit Picks palette and those like loose ball cake things that I don't know how to describe them. Anyway, I wound myself a center pull ball. Dun, dun, and then I wound off the outside a second one that was a lot smaller. I thought, if I get through the toe, then I'll cut the yarn, and then I can wind it on my ball winder later, and then to use for the heels and toes. So I need to finish winding it, but it's really tightly plied. It's really squishy. You're not going to be able to see it because it's black, but there it is. It's really squishy, really soft, and I think it's going to be really nice for the heels and toes. And, oh, sorry, I'm trying to, what is going on here? There we go. Okay. It looks like a bomb. Because it's black. That's a long thread. Gives you a long time to run away, I guess. But I'll probably wind that on my ball winder. Or I could hand wind second center pole ball. If you've never hand wound a center pole ball, it's actually a lot easier than you think. I just watched the Dark Matter Knits podcast, and she did a tutorial on how to wind a center pole ball. So if you want to know how to do that, I suggest go watching her. She's an amazing podcast anyway, so you should check her out. But that's where I got the idea as I was listening to it / watching it last night. I thought, oh, that was this morning thinking, oh, I'll just hand wind it. Hi, Pan. Oh, watch out. This is my cat, Pantalaimon, as he parks himself on my lap. What do you think, bud? And the other thing I got was a skein of Cascade Heritage in purple. It's like medium purple. It's not, there's a lighter purple, like a lavender almost, and then there's this purple, and then there's a deep purple. At least that's what they had in this store. So this is what I went to get. I knew that someone had just ordered purple socks, and I've used this color before. This is a great yarn because it's easy to care for, which is great when you're giving them to someone who doesn't necessarily know how to take care of hand knits. And it's really soft, and a lot of people like it. So, and it's not super expensive, so that's great on all fronts. So I've already wound it up into my two things, as I showed in that tutorial a couple episodes ago. So I've got my two center pole balls there, ready for action. Let's see them against that. So those will get knit up soon. I just had to pick a pattern and knit them. So those are the two things I got at my local yarn store. One of my local yarn stores. One of my favorite local yarn stores yesterday. And let's see. What else? I think that's mostly it. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. Also, on my errands yesterday, I got a little notebook that I'm going to use to design some knitwear. I have some ideas that have been going around in my head for a little while, and I thought, you know what, I can do this. So I started jotting some things down the other day, but it's a simple, just lined notebook. It's got a thing. It was like $6 at Target, and so I'm really excited about that. Things that I knocked over were the writing utensils that I magically had to match this purple notebook. I went with purple because purple tends to be my company color. Pearl of the Pacific kind of ended up the company color purple. You notice that my website, the background's purple, the things are purple, and I don't know where that came from, but it was kind of just happened. So I went with it. Either that or a hot pink, and as you know me, I'm not a pink person, especially hot pink, so hot pink or bright orange or something like that. And I was like, no, purple. I got a blue one for work too. But I found I had gotten this pack of, they're like glitter pencils. They're just, like mechanical pencils, but I got these like glitter paper. I don't know. Anyway, I had this whole pack of colors, and one of them was purple, and one of them was blue, which matches my other notebook perfectly. And I also realized that I got this Miss Babs pen at Stitches. Do you want to see the pen? Which also matches the notebook perfectly. So I've got a pencil and a pen that color match my notebook. So, yay. Apparently the cat is very interested in the pen. Funny story about the cat. I was brushing my hair earlier, and he came over like to see what I was doing because he's a cat and he wants to know, of course, everything you're doing. And so I stuck out the hairbrush, and so he could smell it, and he just started rubbing his face all over this hairbrush. It was hilarious. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just start, rubbing his head with it, and then he like stuck his ear in it. He loves his ears getting rubbed. He's the weirdest cat. I did wash the hairbrush after this because it was literally in his ear, and he just thought this was the greatest thing ever, that I was brushing his ear, basically, or rubbing little teeny hairbrush things in his ear. Who enjoys that? Apparently my cat does. Wow, I have a weird cat, but we already knew that, so it's okay. Anyway, back to design work after the distraction of the cat, which often happens. I bought this yarn at Stitches. It's Lost City Knits. I bought 2 colorways. Let's see if I match these up. No, I did not. This is Glacier. This is Camp Stove. And, oh sorry, Pot-Bellied Stove. I lied. And it's their Foothills Fingering, which is 100% merino. It's 560 yards, which is hugely generous skeins. And it's a 2-ply, so it's not, you wouldn't, I mean, it's 100% merino, so you wouldn't want to do it for socks anyway. But it's a 2-ply. It's not a tight 2-ply. I don't know how well that's going to show up. Oh, you can kind of see that. But I think this is what I'm going to use for my design. I don't know if it's going to be 2-colored. I don't know if I'm going to use this or this, but I didn't really have a plan for this yet, so that may be what it is. And I may change my mind altogether. We'll see. My first design that I've been working on at the moment is like an accessory set. Meaning that I'm going to do a hat, a cowl, and a pair of mitts that kind of go together. And yeah, I knit up a little swatch the other day to test out some of the stitch patterns, and I think I found one that I liked for the mitts, which are the ones I'm going to be starting with. So I'm going to try it in that yarn and see what happens. I did the swatch in a completely different yarn, so it just happened. I was like, oh look, gray. Great for testing stitch patterns. It was a scrap that I had lying around, and I just grabbed it. So we'll see what happens, but I will let you all know how that goes. And I think that's it for today. And I hope you all had a nice weekend and have a fun week ahead. And if you're going to Rhinebeck, I'm a little jealous, but have a great time, and I will live vicariously through you, either on Ravelry or Instagram. So, before I start rambling too much, I will say goodbye and have a great week.